Welcome to Inspiration and Transformation from the Banks of the Ganga with Sadhvi Bhagawati Saraswati, an American sannyasi living at the Parmarth Niketan Ashram in Rishikesh, India. Sadhvi is president of the Divine Shakti Foundation, a charitable organization bringing education, vocational training, upliftment, and empowerment programs to women and children. Sadhvi is also Secretary General of the Global Interfaith Wash Alliance and Director of the world-famous International Yoga Festival. Join the musings of an American sannyasi as Sadhvi shares the wisdom and teachings of her guru, His Holiness Pujya Swami Chidanand Saraswatiji.
Welcome everyone to Inspiration and Transformation from the holy banks of the sacred Ganga River in the land of Rishikesh, India. What happens when perfectionism leads to such disturbance inside that you end up quitting? Perfectionism is actually a defense mechanism. We yearn for perfectionism. We learn for perfection, rather. We learn for perfection because inside of us we feel lacking in some way. And so that constant drive that everything has to be perfect. Everything I do has to be perfect. Everything everyone else does around me, for me, has to be perfect. This is actually a defense mechanism, keeping me from having to sit in my own humanity. Because the truth is, the only thing that's perfect is God. So on the core level, we're all perfect. Like every flower is perfect. Every tree is perfect. Everything in creation is perfect at the core. As our attachment to the body, to the story, to the role, to my identification, this false identification as my body, as my career, as my role, as my bank account, as my name and fame, popularity, whatever, as that grows, well, I want it all to be perfect. Because striving for that perfection keeps me from having to sit in the awareness of my own humanity, of that sense inside me, which most of us have on some level or another, that I'm not quite good enough, not quite beautiful enough, not quite smart enough, not quite successful enough, not quite popular enough. And so if I can just make everything perfect, then I don't have to look at that inside of me. So I'm all for sincerity. We should do our best. But perfectionism actually is a virus. It does lead to disturbance. It does lead to suffering because almost nothing in life can't not be improved upon, right? I mean, the only things really that could be quote unquote perfect would be things that are like solutions to math problems, where there actually is only one absolute solution. Otherwise, you have a beautiful garden. It's gorgeous. Could you improve? Of course. You're a beautiful singer. You're amazing. Is somebody out there better than you are? Of course. You're baking a cake. It's wonderful. Is it the best cake ever baked? Does it have absolutely exactly the perfect blend of sugar to this, to that? Probably not. But does it matter? We give up our joy and our peace in this unfulfillable craving for perfection that'll really never come unless you're solving a math problem. Instead of that, as far as who you are, as far as your spiritual practice, realize you're already perfect. Because you're divine, your consciousness. What is not perfect about a soul? What is not perfect about consciousness? There's nowhere to improve. That which we're working on, our human existence, a skill we have, a task we're doing, a job we're doing, some aspect of our emotions. Well, it's great. Do your best. Learn as much as you can. Strive. This is what Bhagavan Krishna tells us in the Bhagavad Gita. Stand up. Do it to the very best of your ability. But you don't have any control over that outcome. And as far as you're in your humanness, you're never going to be perfect. And so in our humanness, we have to work on letting go, of enjoying the journey, the work, striving, doing our best, fulfilling our highest potential, then raising the bar, going even higher. Why not? Keep learning, keep improving. Why not? It's beautiful. But never, ever, ever hold perfection as the goal. A, you'll never get there. B, it's going to constantly disturb you. And C, if you find that you are a serial perfectionist, it means there's probably some stuff inside you need to look at. Can you exhale into your humanity? Here I am. And yeah, I get angry sometimes. Here I am. Can't carry a tune. Here I am. You know? Good at some things, not good at other things. Touched by some things, not touched by other things. Here we all are in our humanity. And it's beautiful. Like any flower garden or fruit garden. Different types of fruit. Even within the same species of fruit. Different sizes. Some are juicier, some are less juicy. It's part of the package. But find within you that perfect divine, because that's the core of who you are. It's already perfect, regardless of your bank account, regardless of your career, regardless of your physical body, regardless of your followers on Facebook or your relationships or anything. Anchor into that, and then enjoy your humanity. Do your best at the things you're good at. Learn to do things that you're not so good at. But give up the whole idea of perfection. The only thing you should try to be perfect about is your sincerity. If you can't do it sincerely, don't do it at all. Be perfect in your sincerity. That whatever you're doing, you're giving it your all. Bhakti is just in God's hands.
You're listening to OTR-FM, part of the IOM radio network.
Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single
Circle of Hearts Radio is a sanctuary on the airwaves. Join me, Grandmother Elia, in the circle on Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern, as I share information to both enlighten and nourish your soul.
Hi, this is Christina Ricci with RAIN. Every 2 minutes, another American is sexually assaulted. If you or someone you know has been sexually assaulted, you are not alone. Help is just a call or click away through the National Sexual Assault Hotline. Please call 1-800-656-HOPE, that's HOPE, or visit rain.org, that's RAINN.org.
Brought to you by RAIN and this station.
Welcome back to Inspiration and Transformation. I'm so glad to have you all back here with me.
So there's two pieces, and they are equally important. Number one, we are not separate from the world. There's not world and then me. We are part of the world. We are, in fact, creating the world. Each of us is an active co-creator of the world. And what that means is that when that world is in trouble, we need to access our tools, our resources, our energy, our abilities to actually help solve the problems in the world. The highest spiritual goal is not, how can I coexist in peace, detached from our world which is falling apart? That is not the highest teaching. If you look at our scriptures, take the Bhagavad Gita spoken on the battlefield of the war of Kurukshetra. Take the Ramayana. Take so many of the Puranas, the stories. They're stories, for the most part, of divine incarnations doing battle with demons and killing them. Whether it's a specific demon, whether it's simply those who have gotten swept up in the demonic forces, you could say, of ignorance, of greed, of lust. So whether it's an actual asura or raksha, whether it's Duryodhana in his ignorance, in his greed, in his ego. What you've got is divine incarnations actively engaged, personally as well as through inspiring others. Right? Bhagawan Krishna inspires Arjuna and the Pandavas. Bhagawan Ram gets an entire army of the animal kingdom to join him in this fight. None of them are saying, oh, don't worry, sit this one out, it's fine. Yes, let the demonic energies, let the dark energies just win over, killing people and bringing violence and adharma to the land. No. The teaching is always stand up. Fight this. Bring back light to the darkness. Bring back dharma to adharma. And so when the problems of the world are there, and they impact us, and we feel sad, we feel angry. Those are catalysts to action. Those are very different from being angry because someone, was rude to me in our board meeting and made me look really stupid in front of the boss. Or angry because someone posted a nasty comment, and tweeted something obnoxious about me. Or angry because, the person driving in front of me was so slow that I was late for the airport and missed my flight. The anger that we feel about poverty in the world, about injustice in the world, about the destruction of our planet Earth, that's a catalyst. That's a catalyst to action. That anger is energy. The tears that we cry when we see children begging on the road, when we see our planet's water drying up, this is an energy. It's an energy to catalyze action. And so the first part of what to do is figure out how you can act, because we can't all do everything. And so if we don't get really clear with what abilities I have, what opportunities I have, what resources I have, then we do feel despair, because then it feels helpless and hopeless. There's too much. I can't make a big enough impact in enough different sectors. And so we feel despair. So we need to be able to figure out, with what I've been given, what can I do? How can I align my energies with forces that are working for good? And so whether it's making sandwiches and feeding them to the poor, whether it's buying a bunch of blankets and going out and distributing them, whether it's starting an NGO, whether it's starting a tech startup and giving all the money you make to an NGO, whatever it may be. We've all got different skills, different opportunities, different abilities, different resources to serve in the world. What my hands can do, my liver cannot. But what my liver can do, my hands cannot. And I actually need them both for the body to function. And so in the world, we need everybody doing everything that is their Dharma. So figure out, what can you do? And then do that with as much sincerity as you possibly can. With as much efficiency, effectiveness as you possibly can. And the second part, though, is to realize simultaneously, not either or, not like a ping pong ball back and forth, but simultaneously to realize it's all God and it's all perfect. And the reason it has to be simultaneous is, if I simply think it's all God and it's all perfect, well, hunger is absolutely not perfect. Violence against women is not perfect. And it's all God and it's perfect, meaning, if I've got them both simultaneously, what it means is that my anger, my pain at that which is happening in the world, and my focus on what I can do to be of service is a crucial part, a fundamental part of the perfection of the universe. We are not separate from God. If it's all God, we are God. If it's all perfect, we are perfect. So is that anger. So is that pain. So is you deciding and pledging to work to bring about change. If I don't fulfill my Dharma, then it's no longer all perfect. Because then I've dropped the literal ball on my part of that perfection. I am part of that perfection. So yes, it's all God, it's all perfect. In the big scheme of things, when we have the ability to see the full tapestry and all of our threads interweaving together. And in this intersection of time and space, right here, right now, on this physical plane of existence, there's a lot to be done. And so we use all of that as catalysts for the energy to do that which must be done, as our thread, our perfect thread in the perfect tapestry of God's creation.
This is OTR-FM, part of the IOM radio network.
OMTimes magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Do you have time to read that inspiring book or that blog post you've been meaning to get to? In your busy world, how do you improve yourself and keep your life going? I'm Lisa Kay, and my Between Heaven and Earth radio show can transform your life just by listening. Be uplifted with inspiring topics, positive stories, and ideas that really work. Between Heaven and Earth radio is conscious living for your soul, every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time.
Like Baldwin with People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals. I grew up loving circuses and other traveling animal shows, but it never occurred to me what life might be like for the animals. Training wild animals to do things they don't understand takes force. Routine discipline with a hook or whip with the heel of a boot shows the animal exactly who's the boss. Don't patronize animal acts. Please contact People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals.
757-622-PETA.
Welcome back. This is Sadhvi Bhagawati Saraswati with inspiration and transformation.
There is a really tragic irony about the fact that whenever, especially young people die, because older people, we all sort of expect that eventually older people are going to die. But when especially someone who we don't expect that they're going to die gets very sick or dies, almost inevitably, it seems that they were the sweetest, the purest, the most good, the most giving, the most honest, the most caring. And it is this really interesting, tragic irony, as you say, that so many people who are really good people suffer. And then those who, as you say, are really bad people don't seem to suffer. Now, the dilemma with that is our definition of suffering and our idea of what determines a karmic path. So, if we understand karma simply to be that wealth, health, success, longevity are rewards, and illness, failure, loss, early death are punishments, then it makes no sense. Those who should be rewarded are being punished, those who should be punished are being rewarded. And yet, that's not actually how it works. The law of karma has nothing to do with rewards and punishments. There's no objective sense that wealth is good and poverty is bad, that health is good and sickness is bad, that success is good and failure is bad. Our karmic journey has one goal and only one goal in mind: our ultimate freedom. Ultimately, our moksha, our enlightenment, our God realization, self-realization. Now, that which we get in life, that which manifests as the current destiny, based on all of my past karmas from this life and other lives, is exactly that which is most conducive for me to take my next step closer to awareness, to awakening. And for some, it happens in poverty. For some, it happens in wealth. For some, it happens in illness. For some, it happens in vibrant health. It depends where we are on our karmic journey. But you could look at somebody who's succeeding and have no idea where they are in their karmic journey and what role this current, very sort of superficial level success is playing in their ultimate karmic journey, versus someone who's failed or lost. We have no idea what role this very momentary, superficial level of failure or loss, what is that playing? What role is that playing? We don't know. But what we do know is that whatever befalls us, our question always needs to be the same, which is, how can I use this experience to get closer to God? How can I use this experience to peel back the layers of me, of ignorance, of false identification? The second piece about this that's important is when we see someone who, as you say, is a bad person, meaning they're dishonest, they're cruel, they take advantage, they harm others, and we see them succeeding, we look at them and we think they're being rewarded. They're doing such bad things, but they're being rewarded. But what we don't know is what actually their internal experience is about. I tell you this personally, I've been in so many situations, so many, where we arrive in some city, let's say. Many, many, many members of the community are there to receive. The home to which we're going, let's say, is a home of people who seem to be leaders in the community, very, very successful, very, very well-to-do, lots of fancy cars in the driveway, big, big house, everybody comes over. And you know that everybody else is thinking, wow, wish we could be like them. Aren't they lucky? And yet, the moment everybody else leaves, and we're left just sitting with that family, the tears start. And you have no idea the suffering that is happening in those homes. They don't share it. They don't tell the jet to maintain karna. We're very worried ki samne wale kya sochenge, sari jet chali jayegi. So we put on this happy face, especially if we look like we're big, big successes. But what I can tell you is that inside story is actually how much suffering there is. The other last piece of this, because of course we know that the law of karma is perfect. We just don't know when things are going to blossom. You plant seeds, some of them blossom right away. Some take months, some take years. Somebody cheats you today, there's no way of knowing when that seed is going to blossom. Somebody helps you today, no way of knowing when that seed is going to blossom. But the last piece of this, when we think about people who are very, very good, very wonderful, and especially in younger ages when they suffer so much, disease, death. Remember that according to our philosophy, the whole teaching of karma and reincarnation, we're actually only here in a physical body in order to work our way through all of our karmic debt. We're here because we have to be here. Because in our last birth, we didn't quite get full moksha, full freedom, full enlightenment. We didn't finish our karmic debts in the last life. So we came back. But we have a lot of people who, in their previous life, were very, very, very close. Maybe there were just one or two remaining karmas that needed to be worked out, or something left in a karmic bank account that needed to be withdrawn before they ultimately attain moksha and stop the cycle of birth and rebirth. And these tend to be, in many cases, those who suffer and die young. Their work was done. They came as these almost enlightened beings, hence the fact that they were so good, that they were the ones who were like angels on earth. But they finished their work quickly. They didn't need a full 80, 90, 100 years to get through as much of their karmic bank account as they could. They were done much sooner. And so they left. But we have to stop thinking in our minds of illness and death as somehow a punishment. It isn't. It's the karmic unfolding of our own path to God. And so, in order to really understand that, you would have to have a vision that enabled you to see an entire tapestry. I mean, I'll give you an example. So, we just finished Navaratri, and during the time of Navaratri, we had this beautiful Ram Leela taking place. Now, of course, the Ram Leela is just the essence, the sar of the Ramayana. There's not actually the time and a couple hours a day of singing and dancing and drama to get into all of the details. But for me, one of the most powerful teachings in the Ramayana, and it explains to me this very, very well, is if you begin with the story of when King Dashrath had no offspring, right? He wanted offspring, he had no offspring. Now, at that time, he's out hunting. At the same time that he's out hunting, we have the very, very, very beautiful being whose name is escaping me at the moment, Sankat Kumar. Shravan Kumar, thank you. I remembered the Kumar, it was the Shravan that took a moment, thank you. Shravan Kumar is out, he's carrying his parents on the pilgrimage. His parents are blind, he's taking them on yatra. They stop at a hermitage, he leaves his parents in the hermitage, he goes to the river to fetch water. Fetches the water. As he's fetching water, King Dashrath is hunting. He hears a noise, thinks it's a deer, flings his arrow from his bow, and it hits Shravan Kumar. Now he rushes to see what he thought was going to be this deer, and he sees Shravan Kumar. And obviously he feels horrible. He was a good man. Shravan Kumar says, there's nothing you can do for me. My life is flowing out of me. He said, but my parents are in this hermitage. Please take this water to them. They're blind. Tell them what has happened. So King Dashrath takes the water. He goes. Shravan Kumar's parents hear him. And they say, Shravan Kumar, Shravan Kumar. What's he going to say, right? So he's silent. And again, they say, Shravan Kumar. Finally, he tells them what happened. And they curse him. They curse him that as we are dying today of a broken heart due to the loss of our son, so you will die of a broken heart due to the loss of your son. Now, we had no sons. But now you look at how the entire karmic tapestry had to be woven. He had just been cursed by people of very pure heart, that he was going to die of a broken heart from the loss of his son. Fast forward, Bhagwan Ram, this embodiment, the epitome, the divine embodiment of righteousness, goodness, integrity, honesty, everything we strive for. Bhagwan Ram was the embodiment of that. You couldn't be more good than Ram was. Yet, what happens? This day of the coronation, he ends up getting sent out into the jungle. As King Dashrath watches helplessly as Ram, Lakshman, Sita go, as he cries for him, with his final words, he's actually calling out Shravan Kumar's name because he remembers. And I love that story when we think about the tapestry of karma. Because otherwise you look at the Ramayana, you look at Bhagwan Ram and you say, why? Why? Why would someone who's the embodiment of goodness forget that he was the divine for a moment? Suffer so much like that? How could he possibly be sent away from the kingdom, sent into the jungle? Because his father needed to die of a broken heart at the loss of his son. And in the same way, when we look at the suffering of very good people, if we simply can step back far enough to see where all of the karmic threads interweave, we would see a tapestry that would show us threads like that.
This is OTR-FM, part of the IOM radio network.
OMTimes magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Do you have time to read that inspiring book or that blog post you've been meaning to get to? In your busy world, how do you improve yourself and keep your life going? I'm Lisa Kay, and my Between Heaven and Earth radio show can transform your life just by listening. Be uplifted with inspiring topics, positive stories, and ideas that really work. Between Heaven and Earth radio is conscious living for your soul, every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time.
Like Baldwin with People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals. I grew up loving circuses and other traveling animal shows, but it never occurred to me what life might be like for the animals. Training wild animals to do things they don't understand takes force. Routine discipline with a hook or whip with the heel of a boot shows the animal exactly who's the boss. Don't patronize animal acts. Please contact People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals.
757-622-PETA.
Welcome back. This is Sadhvi Bhagawati Saraswati with inspiration and transformation.
Kalp-Vriksh literally means the wish-fulfilling tree. Just last week, a very, very sweet young girl was asking me whether if we whisper what we want in Nandi's ear, do we get it? She was actually part of the Ram Leela troupe, and they had gone up to the Nilkand Mahadev Mandir. She wanted to know whether if she whispered in Nandi's ear what she wanted, would she get it? And we have in our beautiful spiritual heritage all of these different opportunities to get our wishes fulfilled. And yes, there's power, of course. Whether we say the divine is working through a particular type of tree, whether we say the divine is working through Nandi, whether we say the divine is just working through the divine, nameless, formless, infinite. However we conceive of that divine, can our wishes be fulfilled? Of course. The dilemma is we have no idea what to wish for. And so we end up really stuck because sometimes we wish for something that we think we want, we actually get it, and we realize what an awful mess it was. Sometimes by God's grace, we wish for something, we don't get it. We realize later, thank God I didn't get it. But the other dilemma is that when we wish for something that we don't get, we assume that the divine, whether in the form of a tree, whether in the form of a bull, whether in the form of any form or no form, that God is like a vending machine. That we're just going to go and we're going to ask for what we want and we're going to do our ceremonial parikramas around, or we'll tie the string, or we'll say the prayer, or we'll give our dakshana, or we'll do the puja. as though we were simply putting money in a vending machine. And then when it doesn't give us what we want, we think the machine is broken. I need a different guru. I need a different mantra. I need a different mandir. I need a different religion. It's not working. This vending machine is not working. And we become broken. The divine gives us what we need. That which, as I was just saying, is that which is the most conducive for us to take our next step closer to God. And God doesn't play favorites. So the dilemma becomes, if I go to the Kalp-Vriksh and I say, I should be number one in my class. Well, if I get that, that means that somehow God decided that I was more important than all of the other students in the class, also praying I should be number one. It would imply that somehow any of these divine embodiments were somehow playing favorites. And if you just got there first, that you could be made number one in class. Or you could be the one who got this thing that everybody wants. But God doesn't play favorites. God's not going to give you somebody else's job just because you came and prayed at the Kalp-Vriksh for it. Or give you someone else's anything. Because that would imply that God didn't love that other person as much as they love you. So this is where we have to know what to ask for. The wishes that get fulfilled are those that are in alignment with the divine flow of the universe. If I go and I say to Kalp-Vriksh, I would like Ganga to start flowing in the other direction, please. It should go from Ganga Sagar to Gomukh. Tika? I'll fast, I'll do my puja. Just go us taraf bhej do, up the mountain. It's not going to work. Because there is a flow of Ganga. Just like there's a flow of the universe. There's a flow of the divine. And God's not going to reverse the flow that impacts everybody else on earth just because you asked him to. So we learn to pray for actually that which is in the divine flow and that which takes us closer to God. So we pray for surrender. We pray to be free of our ego. We pray to be free of ignorance. We pray to be free of anger. We pray to learn how to forgive. We pray to have more and more bhakti, more and more gyan, to be able to have every minute and every moment be karma yoga, to use every action as yoga. We pray to make our will God's will, to come into alignment with the divine. We get a full moon. And the moon doesn't ever change shape. The moon's shape is always the same. But we get a full moon when the moon comes into better alignment between the sun and the earth. When we have a new moon, Amavasya, you could say the moon had gone out of alignment. She was not able to reflect any light of the sun onto the earth. But could you imagine if the moon in Amavasya said, I'm not going anywhere, and started trying to make the sun move? I want to reflect light onto the earth, but this is where I am, and the sun has to come to me. well, she wouldn't get very far. She'd never be able to reflect light. Because the sun, unlike the moon, unlike the earth, isn't actually moving in orbit around us. So the only way to get that alignment is for the moon to move. In the same way in our lives, when we are looking for that light, for whatever we are hoping for, instead of expecting the rest of the universe to move, or expecting God to somehow make the rest of the universe move for us, we pray for the wisdom, the humility, the ability, the clarity to be able to move into alignment. We pray to be able to use every minute and every moment getting closer to God. So if those are your wishes, they'll always be fulfilled. And otherwise, yeah, there's definitely a power. I mean, there's the power of miracles. God is the miracle. So whether it's miracles through the tree, miracles through Nandi, miracles through any other infinite way, they happen. But as Puja Swamiji always says, the greatest miracle is you. So use your wishes to make yourself happen. And to really experience that miracle of you in this life.
This brings to a close this hour of inspiration and transformation. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm so glad to be together with you all each week. And I look forward to being together again next Thursday, same time, on OMTimes Radio.